I took my digital product business from zero to $1.2 million per month in cash collected at a 70% profit margin. Okay. And I'll head over to Stripe so you can take a look. This is the first month that we ever did this in 2022. And if I just go to all-time sales, so you can see for your entertainment, just on Stripe alone, we've done north of $21 million in sales. Cool. And what I want to do in this video is break down step by step, how do you go from zero to $100,000 per month in digital product sales? And I think I'm qualified to do so, having done 10 times the scale of that, right? We're going from $100,000 a month to $1 million a month, right? So what I'm going to do on this Google Doc is I'm going to share with you the 3 key phases. So if you're a complete beginner, how to go from 0 to 10K per month. And then if you're already advanced, you're running a business doing maybe 10K, $30,000 a month, how do you go from $10,000 to $50,000 a month? And then I'm going to be sharing with you how to go from $50,000 a month to $100,000 a month. That work? Cool. And by the way, if you're already doing $10, $20, $30,000 a month and you go, okay, let me just fast forward 10 minutes into the video, please don't do that. I know you want to skip. Okay. The reason why is because the foundational things I'm going to share with you of the 0 to 10, you might be missing right now. And those might be the exact reasons that you can't get to $100,000 a month. Okay. So do not skip ahead, because these first couple of minutes are going to show you how to prevent building a house of cards that's just going to flip over and never scale past $1 million a year. And heads up, this full course is going to be about an hour long. And if you can't pay attention to this video, seriously, with one single video that could take your business north of $100,000 a month, then feel free to go watch some cat videos. All right. But for those that are serious about growing their businesses, let's jump right in. So there's 3 key components to building a digital product business the right way, maintaining 80-90% profit margins, especially if you're doing less than $100,000 a month. Okay. The first thing is you need to have an organic traffic source. So the one thing that I saw that took my business from 0 to $400,000 a month in 2021 at an 80% profit margin is the fact that all of my leads were coming from YouTube. So if you go to my main YouTube channel, it's got about 150,000 subscribers. I built that channel when I was in university, literally with a $400 vlog camera that wasn't even mine. I borrowed it from my roommates and I just made vlog videos. And little did I know when I was 20 years old, when I started making those videos, that those were going to become the foundation of the digital product business that I was going to have. Because the thing is, when you have leads that come in from organic, so these are not coming from ads, from Facebook ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, it's not coming from Instagram shoutouts, it's not coming in from any other paid type of source. It's leads of people that have been following you for 1 week, 2 months, 6 months, that have KLT. They know you, they like you, and they trust you. They actually feel like they have a genuine relationship with you. These people are just better customers, period. Okay. So what I saw, and this was something that was mind-blowing in my industry, because back then I wasn't going to masterminds. I didn't know other people doing $1 million months. I was just a 21, 22-year-old kid who had broken past my first 6-figure month. And I was like, oh my gosh, all this money's coming in. I've never really had an extensive network of business owners. But when I started going to these online masterminds that you've probably heard of, people doing, 5 million a year, 10 million a year, I would tell people, yeah, I have a 94% show up rate consistently. I have 3 sales reps on my team. We're booking like 22, 23 calls a day. And I have a 60% close rate. And I remember going to some of the highest level business owners that you know of, and they were all just jaws dropped. What the heck? You have a 60% close rate? And mind you, I was 22 years old back then, and I was not that good of a sales trainer. Like, yeah, I took sales calls myself. I closed some deals, but I wasn't that good of a salesperson. So how the heck did I build a sales team that was closing at 60% and a show rate of 94%? I'll tell you, it was because of the traffic channel. And that only comes because of the genuine relationship from personal brand. The personal brand is truly the path to having better quality customers, okay? And this is the second advantage to having an organic traffic source. You're going to have less refunds and less disputes. So what I've noticed is that when I have customers that come in from paid advertising versus customers that come in from organic, primarily YouTube, it takes significantly more efforts, more coaching calls, more time, more one-on-one support to get someone that comes from paid ads to become a satisfied customer. Versus someone that comes from YouTube. It's almost like they actively are willing to buy from you, and then at the same time, it doesn't take as much effort to satisfy them. Now, I'm not saying you do a worse job of delivery for them. No, delivery for all my customers is the exact same. We want to give our absolute best in coaching them, doing coaching calls, one-on-one support, done for you services, whatever it may be. We want to do the same. But I just noticed, man, we get so many more referrals, so many more testimonials, even the compliance and client success, they take it so much more seriously, the people that come from organic. So even the type of customer, not every single sale is created equally. A sale that comes from organic is a better customer. The third one's pretty obvious. You don't spend any money on advertising. Okay. So I have a channel where we spend about $100,000 a month on paid advertising as of, this was like a year ago. And that was getting probably about a 4x front end ROAS. So it's spent $100,000 on the ads, and then we would collect, our closers would collect about $400,000 in upfront cash. Not bad, right? 25% of our profit and loss statement from those sales would be ads. But the problem is that's $100,000 leaving my bank every single month. That's a lot of money. That's $1.2 million a year. Oh my gosh, so much money, right? And organically, my content team was probably, let's say, $6,000, $7,000 a month in labor costs. Filipino video editor, $1,000 a month. I had a content YouTube strategist, $3,000 a month. Added up, it was less than $10K a month. And that labor expense generated an extra $400,000, $500,000 a month in addition to the $500,000 that was coming for the paid advertising. And those was basically free, no ad spend, right? Besides the $10,000 a month less in labor costs. So you're just saving money objectively, okay? And, I know the next thought that comes to mind was, Richard, good for you. You have a big audience. 100,000 is considered a big audience for a lot of people. And that's the reason why you're successful. No, that's not true. Because you can see, and this is kind of a trend that's happening on YouTube right now, there are micro channels, meaning channels that have 500 subscribers, 100 subscribers even, that can pop off in literally the first 30 to 90 days. And they actually are generating focused calls for whatever the high ticket offer or digital product that they're selling. And it's not just YouTube, by the way. I know I've just been spending the first couple minutes on my YouTube. You also can have the same exact effect with Instagram. So with Instagram, and actually it's easier with Instagram, you can make reels, okay? 30-second videos that you can literally shoot and edit using your thumbs. You don't even need iMovie. You don't need Final Cut Pro. You don't need to edit on your computer. And when you edit these reels, like I'll go over my Instagram here for a sec, so I'll just show you. Richard YU Allen, which by the way, if you're not following it, you definitely should be following, because on this profile, I drop value bombs every single day. I don't have enough time to make YouTube videos on a regular basis because these take really long to make. But these reels and stories, and I do live Q&As and whatnot, really, really good place. So make sure you follow me here. But if you look at the reels that I edit, they're really, really simple. And you can just click open one of them and they get 200,000 views. This one here, it got almost 1 million views, right? This one got 1 million views. I also make some Christian content, right? This one got 2.1 million views because I'm a man of Christian faith. And so I'll do some motivational Christian stuff as well. But the point of the matter is you need some source of traffic. I like YouTube and I like Instagram, okay? If you're under $10,000 a month and you're kind of strapped on time, just choose one. If you already have an existing business, why not do both? Make one weekly YouTube video and one daily reel or 3 reels on a weekly basis, and you have traffic coming on in now. And most importantly, you have traffic coming in organically, okay? That's the first component. The second component is you need to have a high ticket digital product, okay? And what I define as high ticket is anything that's $1,500, $2,000 or above, okay? So if you're selling a $500 product or a $250 product, that's mid ticket, that's not really high ticket. You can totally do mid ticket, $500 product and get to $10,000 a month, but scaling that to $100,000 a month is gonna be really, really difficult because the unit economics, which I'll break down for you right now, is gonna be pretty hard. And by the way, all of this is to get to $100,000 a month. To get to $10,000 a month, it is totally fine. If you sell a $500 product and you want to do $10,000 a month, well, how many units do you have to sell? 20 units, right? 20 times 500, that's 10K. But if you want to sell $100,000 in sales of a $500 product, how many units do you have to do? You have to do, what is that, 200? What is that, 500? I'm sorry, can't do math. You got 200 units on a monthly basis, okay? So 200 units, and let's say you have 30 days in a month, that means you guys sell 6.6. So let's just round that up to 7. You have to convince 7 people on a daily basis every single day, including weekends in this math. 7 people every single day have to decide, I like you, and I'm going to buy and spend $500 with you. And here's the reality. It takes the same amount of time to convince someone to spend $500 as it does to convince them to spend $1,500 or $5,000 with you. And even if you don't believe that right now, that's okay. I've seen this time and time again across the thousands of coaching clients that I work with, okay? It takes the same amount of time. So my recommendation is $500 minimum, but if you can, go to $1,500 or $2,000 and do it, okay? And by the way, if you are one of those beginners that I mentioned earlier and you don't want to make your own digital product, there's another option. I call it digital arbitrage, which is where you can actually choose done for you digital products, meaning products that are already made by other companies. They're great quality. They are backed by founders that get really good client results. And these products will actually pay you 20 to 80% commissions, which is kind of crazy, right? 80% commission. So it's a $500 product, 80%, they'll pay you $400. Some even more than that. I can give you a catalog as well. So hang with me close to the end of the video and I'll get that to you, okay? So that's the second component. You need a high ticket digital product. And the third component is you need an evergreen acquisition system, okay? Evergreen acquisition system is what I define as this. You have organic traffic, which we already talked about previously. That's the first component, right? And then from the organic traffic, you have to be able to extract that traffic into the direct messages. Now, the reason why I like this is because a lot of people will do something like they'll post a piece of content on Instagram and they'll just say, oh, go to my link in bio. Or if it's on YouTube, they just go, oh, check the first thing in the description. In essence, you tell people to go click a link. But here's the problem. A lot of people will click on the link, but then what if the link doesn't load? What if they click on the link and then they start scrolling and then they get busy with their life and then they leave? And you don't even know. You don't even know what part in this funnel did they drop off. Did they drop off when they clicked on the link? Did the link load speed get too long? And so the problem with that is the efficiency of the amount of sales that you end up making, whether you're selling directly on that website, so they click on the link and there's a button to buy and they can put in the credit card information, or if they have to book a call because you're selling on the phone, you don't know where in the drop off it is. And so what I like to do is, I don't like to do the link. I like to take people to a platform where they can send DMs. So you can send people to your personal Facebook, you can send people to your personal Instagram, and you just tell people to send you a DM if they would like information. Or if you want to give them a free resource, a free course, you can go ahead and send them there. And then basically when they reach out to you, you deliver the freebie, right? You always want to over deliver and give value. And then by the way, while having the DMs, you have a conversation to get to know the individual. And so that's why I like the DM so much more, because you can actually talk to them, you can follow up with them, you can answer questions, you can connect human to human. Hey, you can send audio messages, right? So you build a genuine relationship. And so what happens is in the DMs, that's where you build the real relationship. And then if you're selling directly in the DMs, you can totally do that. Or if you're selling a higher ticket product, anything that's like $1,500, $2,000 or above, I would recommend you sell over the phone. You can schedule them for the call, send them the calendar link, right? Calendly.com, whatever that may be. Send them the calendar link, the book, and then that is how you make the sale. Okay. So that's what I mean by evergreen acquisition system. And this is so much better than doing a live launch. Like I know people that they spend thousands and thousands of dollars to drive to some live webinar. And then the live webinar is like on a Thursday at like 8 p.m. Eastern, but then people are different time zones. And so you get like a 50-40% no-show rate. People don't show up. So half those leads that you just spent money on, they didn't even show up to the webinar. And then on that webinar, if you have internet issues or something cracks or something breaks, and then you try selling or the payment page doesn't work, and the whole thing just falls apart. And it's so freaking stressful to do a live launch. So for that reason, yes, there are people that do it successfully, but they have really expensive teams. They have a lot of processes and systems that are very complicated and difficult to make. It works. I just don't recommend it. Okay. If you just want to get to your $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, even $100K a month, listen, the funnel that I'm showing you right now is what I use to do north of $1 million a month. Okay. Just keep it simple. That's why I call it evergreen. The reason why it's evergreen is because there's no on and off. You don't turn it on, turn it off. It's like an evergreen Christmas tree. It is always green. That thing doesn't change color. It's going to always make sales for you. Okay. And so these three components, once you have them down, and you have this foundation locked in, now we can actually work on getting to 10K, 50K, and 100K. Okay. And by the way, this Google Doc that I'm teaching on right now, it is a part of a full 11-page Google Doc in SOP. It's a playbook where I demonstrate exactly how I scaled from zero to $400,000 a month at an 80% profit margin with digital products. Okay. So if you want this Google Doc, what I want you to do is head over to my Instagram, Richard Y.U. Allen. Okay, I'll leave it right here. And it'll also be in the description down below. And then just message me with the word playbook. Okay. DM me the word playbook and I'll send this to you. You see what I just did there, by the way? I'm giving you a freebie and I'm also sending you over so I can have a conversation with you to see how we can help outside of that. If you just want the playbook, that's also fine. I'll DM it to you. But you can literally see me in action, living this out right now in this YouTube video. Okay. So DM me on Instagram. I'll send this over to you. So let's jump into the 3 core activities. Now you know the 3 components. I want to talk about the 3 things that you have to do on a daily basis and on a weekly basis in order to make sure that you're actually making sales. So I like to divide the 3 core functions of a digital product business into these 3 things: marketing, sales, and fulfillment. Okay. Marketing means getting people to discover who you are. If you don't have people knowing who you are, then you're never going to make a sale. The second part is going to be sales. Sales is taking those people who now know who you are and actually having a conversation and then converting them into customers. So sales is the part of the process where you take them from a viewer or a follower into an actual customer. Okay. And the fulfillment is just a fancy term for saying client success. So fulfillment means after people pay you money, they're now officially a customer, a client, a mentee. How do you actually get them really good results? Make sure that they're a happy customer. Okay. Those are the 3 components. And what your business is going to look like when you take this organic route, which is what I'm recommending you, is if you do YouTube. YouTube is honestly, you make a 10-minute video. What's been working really well on YouTube right now is actually unedited videos. Like, even notice this video here, there's no fancy editing, right? I'll chop up some of the mess ups inside of my video. I could do that myself, or you can have a video editor, $5 an hour, they can just cut that up. And that's it. Like, no crazy animations, right? So one weekly YouTube video on a topic that you're passionate about. And what that does is that demonstrates expertise. And what I call the hypothesis of consumption is that for every 1 hour of content that someone watches of you, it unlocks an extra $1,000 that they're willing to buy from you, right? Now that's completely hypothetical, right? But the concept of it is the same. If someone watches 1 hour of content of you versus another person watches 7 hours worth of YouTube videos or whatever piece of content with you, who do you think is going to trust you more? And therefore, who do you think is going to spend more money with you? Obviously, the person that did the 7 hours, right? And so therefore, the reason why I like YouTube so much is because if someone consumes just stories and reels of you on Instagram, they're only getting a 30 seconds here, a 60 seconds there. And so these minutes add up to maybe they go through 10 reels and they got 10 minutes worth of content. But if they just go through one YouTube video and it's a 15-minute YouTube video, bam, 15 minutes of content consumed and so much more trust. So if in my mind, I'm thinking, how do I get someone to consume 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of my content? It's so much more efficient for them to do on YouTube. And then the other reason why YouTube, I believe, is more superior is because people come on YouTube because they come to learn, right? When you're on Instagram, what are you doing? You're just a vegetable, right? It's the end of the day, you're sitting on the couch, you're exhausted. I know people, they're on the bed, right? They wake up and they look at Instagram. You're not in a learning state of mind. That's the other thing. So both are good, but if I could choose one, I would just go YouTube. If you can do both, then do both. So one weekly YouTube video, it's going to take you, let's say, an hour, maybe 2 on a weekly basis, okay? And then the second core piece is make 1 reel per day, and you could also do 1 story sequence per day. That will take you, let's say, 15, 20 minutes, max 30 minutes. That's what you're going to do on a weekly and daily basis, okay? And then now on the sales side, it's very simple. Whenever you have new followers that hit your profile, okay, you go from YouTube, you send them to Instagram, and then people that originate from Instagram naturally, what you're going to do is you're going to message them. So if a new follower hits your profile, you send them a message. Hey, thanks so much for coming across my profile. How did you come across me? They start having a dialogue, and then you send them for resources, you figure out what the problems are, and then you try to see if you can actually serve them with the digital product, right? And then if you sell directly via the phone, then what you would do is you would message people back and forth. You would answer the questions. You would see if you can actually help them. And then you send a counter link to book them for a Zoom call. And then on that Zoom call, that's actually where you sell it. But at the end of the day, regardless of what you sell in the DMs or you sell on the phone, that's how you make the sale, okay? And then on the fulfillment side, it's a lot more simple than most people think, okay? Fulfillment is really simple. You have the 3 C's. I call it the course content that you have the coaching calls, Okay. And then finally, you have the community. Okay. And these three components is what makes people very happy when they buy a digital product. So on the coaching side, what I would recommend is you just do 1 to 2 calls a week. So for example, for me, I'll do a coaching call on a Monday, for example, and then maybe 3 days later on a Thursday or a Friday, maybe beginning of the week, end of the week, you do a 1-hour coaching call. You have all of your students come on board. Okay. And if you even want to do 2 different time zones, so maybe one you do 9 a.m. and then the other one you do at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That way, if people are global in different parts of countries, different time zones, they can choose a time that fits within their schedule, right? And then you also have a community that can be a Facebook group, a school community, whatever that may be. And that's where the students can all connect with one another. And that's not even mandatory. Like some people don't even have a community. We have one, but it's not necessary. And then you have one-on-one messaging support. So every single customer that comes in, they can have your WhatsApp chat, or if you're on a platform like school or Facebook group, they can just message you directly there. And it's on Facebook, it's free to do so, right? So that's going to be the way that you have conversations with individuals. Okay. Now that we have the foundations down, let's go ahead and go through the 3 phases. Okay. So phase 1, 0 to 10K. Phase 2, 10 to 50K. And then phase 3, which is going from $50,000 to $100,000 a month. Cool. So phase 1 is what I call the validation of the MVP. MVP standing for minimum viable product. So at this point, if you are not making any sales, it's because you don't have an offer that is high converting. It is not an offer that actually people want to buy. And when I say offer, by the way, offer and digital product, I mean the same thing. What's your offer? It's what's your product. Okay. So right now it's just you. You don't have a team and you don't need a team to get to 10,000 a month. And what you need to do is sell the product or sell the offer. I took my digital product business from 0 to $1.2 million per month. Load speed get too long. And so the problem with that is take this organic route, which is what I'm recommending you, is if you do YouTube is honestly, you make a 10-minute video side, it's a lot more simple than most people think. Okay. Fulfillment is really simple. You have the 3 C's. I call it the course content that you have the coaching calls. Okay. And then finally, you have the community. Okay. And these 3 components is what makes people very happy when they buy a digital product. $100,000 a month. Cool. So phase 1 is what I call the validation of the MVP. MVP standing for minimum viable product. So at this point, if you are not making any sales, it's because you don't have an offer that is high converting. It is not an offer that actually people want to buy. And when I say offer, by the way, offer and digital product, I mean the same thing. What's your offer? It's what's your product. Okay. So right now it's just you. You don't have a team and you don't need a team to get to 10,000 a month. And what you need to do is sell the product or sell the offer before you create. Okay. So this is a concept that I took and I borrowed actually from some of the largest tech companies in the world. So Uber did this, Facebook did this, which is they build a really basic version of the product. In fact, I take that back, not even a product, just a landing page, just the initial checkout page. And then they have people pay them. Okay. So they'll sell the product first. They'll get people to pay. The product doesn't even exist yet. And then what will happen as soon as someone buys the product and ka-ching, swipes their credit card, whatever that is, now the business owner, Uber in this case, will begin developing and actually creating a product. And the reason why this concept of selling it before you create it is so important is because if you spend 6 months trying to build the perfect course idea, oh my gosh, Richard, you don't realize I have this idea for XYZ. I bought camera equipment, I rented out a studio, I spent weeks and weeks building out the Google Slides in order to build this course. And then when it comes time to sell, no one buys. Well, I hate to break it to you, but all those thousands of dollars and all those weeks that you spent are all 100% wasted. And so that's the reason why it's really dumb to create something before you sell it. I would much rather sell, and you don't sell a lot of people. You just sell 5 students. You sell 10 students. And you tell them, by the way, because a lot of people also have this like whole morality, oh, but that's unethical. No, you literally tell them, hey, transparently, you're going to be part of my beta test group. And what that means is right now the product's not done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you live through the coaching program. And that way you're actually going to get the most one-on-one support than anyone will ever get inside the program. People who buy future later on months from now, they're not going to get this level of support because you were my first wave of students. So do you see what I just did there? I took the fact that I am transparent about the fact that the product is not in existence yet. And I'm doing this before the customer pays me. I would typically do that on the Zoom call because you would sell that, book them for a Zoom call. And then on the Zoom call, you would communicate this. So you would tell them on the Zoom call. And then also you frame it in a really good way because you're saying, but it's actually to advantage because this is the only time in this product that you ever get this much one-on-one support and this much FaceTime with me. And also I'm going to be teaching everything live to you. So if you're ever confused or stuck on something, you can just literally ask me right then and there. So you're positioned in a very, very good way of why you need to sell it and then create it after. Okay. And then what you do is, this is what I would do. 10 clients, You only take on 10 clients, you cap it there. And the cool thing about that is if you talk about that on YouTube or on Instagram and on social media, you can actually announce with real, genuine scarcity. This isn't some false scarcity of, oh, I only have 10 spots, but you actually have 50 spots. No, this is genuine, guys. Because this is my first time doing this, I can only take on 10 individuals because I want to make sure I over-deliver for these students and get them incredible results. So that's the way you position it, okay? Let's just price it, let's say $1,000 for the program. And then what you do is as soon as you get these 10 people to buy in, you tell them, hey, by the way, the start date is going to be on this day on the 15th of this coming month, okay? It's like university. When everyone joins for university and everyone pays for tuition, maybe a couple days apart or a couple weeks apart, but everyone all has class beginning in the fall, September 15th. That's when class begins, right? Same thing here. So you have everyone choose the one day that the program begins, and then I would deliver the program over a 30-day period. So what I mean by that is you would do a 4-week program, and every single week, I would deliver with 2 live calls. So maybe you do a live call on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and then you do a live call on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on those live calls is where you actually teach and deliver the information on your offer live. Okay. So what I mean by that is you would take a couple hours or a couple of days before each live class, and then you would prepare the Google documents like the Google Doc I'm teaching on right now, or you could prepare on Google Slides. Just keep it super simple. And then what you do is you bring them all onto the Zoom call, and then you basically teach live on the call. Okay. And I would do that for teaching them for 30 minutes live on the call. And then as soon as you finish teaching, the back half of the call, the remaining 30 minutes, what I would do is I would just do live Q&A. And so the reason why that's so powerful is because after you teach them, you're going to see the parts that they're confused on, the parts that they don't understand, and they can literally ask you right then and there. And as soon as that 1 hour call is done, let's say it's Monday, you finish the call, as soon as you end the Zoom call, immediately go, okay, what are all the steps that I missed out on? What are all the things that they ask me questions on afterwards I actually should incorporate into the product so therefore people don't ask that question in the future, right? I'm sure you're going to have all these really cool ideas that come from it, right? You do that on Monday, and you do that on Thursday, and then you repeat that over 4 weeks. So therefore, the student is going to get 8 live calls with you over a 4-week period, and that's actually what you would say on the very first sales call as well. You're going to say something like, and by the way, you're going to get 8 live calls. There's 2 times every single week over a 4-week period, and you're going to be getting live one-on-one coaching or 1-on-10 coaching in a very intimate group setting. And at the end, I'm going to answer your questions and stand for as long as you need to make sure your questions are taken care of, right? And then in between, during these weeks, you can also have them inside of the Facebook community. If they have any questions, they could post them in the community, and you can answer those questions in the comments. You see how simple this is? That's how you deliver it. And the coolest part is if you do it on Zoom, you can record all of these call recordings. And now those 8 call recordings over that 4-week period, congratulations, that is now your product. That's literally your product. That is your first course content. And so what has happened is you have literally built the course content in live setting without having to sit down and record for an entire week or a weekend to get all the course content done. Okay? How big is your team? Your team is no one. It's a one-man band. You do the marketing, you do the sales, you do the fulfillment, and at this point, basically, you have a, 97% profit margin because PayPal and Stripe took 3% of the transaction, right? That's it. 97% profit margin. Cool. So that's phase 1. You have now, congratulations, validated your minimum viable product, and your minimum viable product is actually done. Now let's move to phase 2. Phase 2 is what I call scaling with the evergreen scalable product, the ESP. So we're going from the MVP, minimum viable product, now to the ESP, evergreen scalable product, okay? And this is now how do you take your business from 10K and now consistently get it to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month, okay? So as soon as you finish the MVP phase that we just talked about, what I would do is I would take no longer than 7 days. Okay, listen closely because this is another source of procrastination. I've seen some people procrastinate here for like a month. I would take no more than 7 days and I would look back at the last 4 weeks and go, okay, what are all the mistakes that I made along the way? What are all the different things I was missing in the product that I have to add into? Kind of like you do after every single live class, you do that mini reflection, but now you're looking at the whole product as a whole. And now what you do is you take a 7-day period. You can honestly do it in like 3 or 4 days, but 7 days max. And I would just start adding in different adjustments. If you want to even re-record every single one of those 8 live sessions, now is your time to do so in like a pre-recorded setting. So it's like it's not like a live Zoom call recording. It's like a real you sitting down and recording it with a Loom video or with a camera like I'm recording for you right now. And now you create a higher quality version of the product. And this version of the product is the one that we're going to scale to $100,000 a month beyond. And by the way, you're never going to have a finished product. Every single month or every couple of months, you're going to update some videos, maybe something in your industry and your market changes, or there's some new update in the way that you get students results depending on what your niche is. So there might be some things that you're always going to have to make tweaks with. I will add and update stuff in my digital product, once every couple of months. So it's never done. That's my point. Okay. But at this point, you now take your MVP and you clean it up a little bit. You make it a little cleaner. And now you have the evergreen version. And then once you have that done, I would do a new promo. And here's what you would do for the promo. you let everyone in your audience know. And by the way, even during phase one, over this full period that you're doing delivery, I would still recommend you continue to make content. So that's one weekly content, one weekly YouTube video, and then I will also do daily reels, or let's say 3 reels a week, 4 reels a week. If it gets really busy, you can load the volume, but never stop making content, because this whole time you want to be continually accumulating traffic the whole time, right? In phase 2 now, when you finish the ESP, you can now announce to your audience, hey guys, over the last 4 weeks, I have transformed these 10 students' lives. And if you have case studies and you have testimonials, then obviously showcase those. This person has gotten this result, this person has got this result. It's been absolutely insane. And what I'm finally ready to do is release the 2.0 version of the product. And because it is actually even better than the first version of the product, I'm actually going to be increasing the price by $500. I'm raising the price by $1,000. So over the next 7 days, if you truly want to get in right now, click the link below, send me a message, go ahead and schedule time for the call, whatever your call to action is, to get them on the phone or sell in the DMs. And what you do is over a 7-day period, counting down every single day, 6 days left, 5 days left, 4 days left, 3 days left, you go ahead and you sell the second version of the product. And you see how cool this is? Because if you do this the right way, first off, all the people that you've been accumulating, okay, during this past full period from a new audience standpoint, they know that you have a product because you should have been making stories and YouTube videos kind of documenting your journey, building them public the whole time. And then also, even people that didn't buy your first version of the product, remember, there are people that probably didn't buy, they've been still watching your content ever since the very beginning, following along with you. And they're going like, man, I missed the first time. I missed the 1.0. I'm absolutely not missing the 2.0. And it's better this time. And you have case studies, right? Because you took those 10 students and now you turn them into testimonials. Like, oh my gosh, I have to do this time. So you're going to get all these people that accumulate from your personal brand that are going to want to buy now. And what will happen is when you do this, you're going to get an even bigger influx of sales, hopefully. And what I've seen time and time again with my students, and this is what happened with me when I did this, is you get even more sales the second time around when you do this promo, right? So that's phase 2. And what your team is going to look like at this point is really, if you just want to do it with one-man band, meaning you don't have any team members, that is totally fine and you can do that. But what will likely happen is you're going to get way more volume than you can handle, way more people hitting you up in the DMs on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever you're doing to send messages. And what will happen is because you have so many people in the DMs and not enough time to handle that, right? Maybe you're taking sales calls, you're taking 5, 6, 7 calls per day. You're kind of losing your mind because you have so much business. It's a great thing. You're making so many sales, but because you're having so many people reach out to you, you can't keep up. So if you could make one hire and only one hire, what I would do is I would hire someone called an appointment setter. An appointment setter or a chat assistant, they mean the same thing, but it's someone who will be in your DMs and will message and do 90% of the messages for you. You're still going to be in the DMs. You're still going to send some audio message to people, but this person will be doing 90% of the heavy lifting. And what you do is you teach that person, teach them how to speak in your voice, teach them how to handle common objections, answer certain questions, and then they will spend 8 hours per day, or however much time that they can dedicate, but full time would be ideal. And they will spend all that time messaging your prospects. And imagine if you're booking, let's say 2-3 sales calls a day and you're only spending 1 to 2 hours a day in your DMs because you're a business owner, you're doing all the stuff, you can only balance that much time. You're spending 1 to 2 hours a day. Can you imagine how many more calls you would book if you 4x that amount of time? And that's the power of having an appointment setter, because that setter can spend 8 hours a day in the DMs. You're going to 4x your volume of calls. That's what happened to me, right? When I implemented this. And by the way, for me, I still spend time in the DMs. You never really want to let go of the DMs because what happens is you lose touch with the community. You get a lot of ideas from people who message you who say, hey, I would love to see this in your product. Do you have this in your product? So it's just good in general to stay in your DMs. So for me, it's probably like a 70-30 split. 30% of the time, it's me messaging. 70% of the time, it's someone on my team. But regardless of what the split is, you don't want to fully let go of it. You can if you want, but for me, I like to stay in touch with my community, right? So that's phase 2. And if you do this and you scale early stages with the evergreen scalable product, this will easily, I've seen this go even north of $50,000 a month, but you could totally get this to $50,000 a month, okay? And that takes me to phase 3. Phase 3 is infrastructure and scaling, okay? So at this point now, you have to start building real world infrastructure. Infrastructure basically is a fancy way of saying build a team and systems, okay? Like a building, you need to build infrastructure, you need to put the columns up, you need to put the roof on, you need to lay the foundation of the concrete of the building so it doesn't fall when there's an earthquake. That's infrastructure, right? And for your business, the infrastructure fundamentally is just going to be a few key hires, okay? And this is what your team's going to look like. So at this point, you're probably going to be increasing the volume of content production. Maybe you're doing 1 reel or 2 reels on a daily basis. Maybe you're increasing from 1 YouTube video and you're going to 2 YouTube videos on a weekly basis. Either way, if you increase the volume of content, you're probably not going to have that much time, nor will you want to spend a lot of time doing a lot of the editing. Okay. So one of the first easy hires that you can make, and very affordable hires, is you can go find someone on onlinejobs.ph, on Upwork, someone from Philippines, for example, as a really talented video editor, $5 an hour, $6 an hour. Like I'm talking $700 a month, $800 a month. You can find a pretty solid video editor who could probably edit better than you. Because for me, I knew nothing about editing. I learned editing literally from free YouTube videos, right? So you can find like a legitimate professional editor who can handle all of your editing for sure less than $1,000.